Okay, so take a look at this. At first glance, it's just a website, right? For an emergency plumber. It's kind of chaotic, packed with info, totally designed for when you're in a panic late at night. But buried deep inside this digital toolbox, there's a story that has nothing to do with burst pipes and everything to do with the soul of a town. And that brings us to the central question of this whole thing. It seems a little absurd, doesn't it? I mean, what could possibly link a burst pipe in, say, 2026 to a 19th century Methodist resort? How do those two things connect? Stick around because the answer is buried in probably the last place you'd ever think to look. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's the 24/7 emergency. Every homeowner, you know the feeling, you dread it. That one moment when all those complex systems that keep our lives running smoothly suddenly just don't. It's just pure stress. Picture this. It's the middle of the night. You hear a sound. You go downstairs, and your stomach just drops. Your basement is flooding. Water is everywhere. And in that moment, believe me, you do not care about history. You need a hero with a wrench, and you need them, like, right now. And this right here is the promise that a company like this makes. They are the solution. They're highly skilled, licensed, insured, the whole deal. They're available 24/7. They've got years of experience, and they're using all this advanced leak detection tech. They are selling themselves as the modern, super reliable fix for your very modern and very urgent problem. So what does that modern fix actually look like? Well, we're talking about a whole modern toolkit. It's way more than just a wrench and some tape. The arsenal of a modern service company like this is, well, it's huge. Honestly, it can be kind of overwhelming. First, you've got your core plumbing services. I mean, this is the stuff you'd expect, right? Toilet, faucet, and sink repair, sump pumps, hydrojetting, water heaters, you get the idea. This is really the bedrock of their business. But wait, it doesn't stop there. They go beyond just plumbing. Now we're talking about heating, air, all the mechanicals. So heating system repair, AC service, boilers, furnaces, even humidifiers and radon control systems. They'll even do medical and laboratory plumbing. The list just keeps on going. And then, of course, you get to the really high-tech stuff, the smart home and restoration services. We're talking smart thermostats like Nest and Ecobee, smart water shutoff valves, which are amazing, by the way, flood control systems, water damage restoration. If the worst happens, they'll even do the repair and rebuild. It's like they're a total one-stop shop for a 21st century home. So here's the bottom line. They offer every modern solution for the modern home. This company has built its entire identity around being completely, totally modern. They're all about today's problems and tomorrow's tech, right? Okay, and this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. Because buried deep inside all that talk of smart valves and hydrojetting, you find something that just doesn't seem to belong. You find an unexpected history lesson. This question is just tucked away on their website. It's a total curveball, right? A sudden jump from the cutting edge all the way back to the distant past. What is that doing there? And then you see this, a direct quote. The Lake Bluff Camp Meeting Association was formed and Rockland was renamed Lake Bluff. I mean, this isn't just a casual mention. It's a very specific historical fact just dropped right in the middle of a plumbing website. And this is the breadcrumb that leads us to a much, much bigger story. So you know what? Let's follow that breadcrumb. Let's dig into the story of this North Shore village, from Rockland to Lake Bluff. The story that this plumbing company, for whatever reason, thought was important enough to put right there on their website. The story of their own community. So, before it was called Lake Bluff, the place was actually known as Rockland, and the name came from the train depot, which was really the lifeline of the whole community. In fact, for a while, this little tiny stop was the only stop between Highland Park and Waukegan. And you can see the whole making of the village laid out pretty clearly here. It all starts with that first settler family back in 1836, claiming 100 acres. Then in 1855, the railroad is finished, and the area gets its name, Rockland. 20 years later, in 1875, the Lake Bluff Camp Meeting Association is formed by some Methodist ministers. And then finally, in 1895, Lake Bluff is officially incorporated as a village. Boom, boom, boom. You gotta love little details like this. $250. Can you even imagine? For $250, you could buy a 25-foot lot and have a cottage built in less than 20 days. That just speaks to an era of incredible speed and ambition, doesn't it? You can just picture this whole resort community popping up almost overnight. And the story doesn't stop with just its founding either. This town developed a really strong identity. Get this. During World War I, Lake Bluff was actually proclaimed the most patriotic small town in America. I mean, the residents were so dedicated to the war effort. We're talking Red Cross support, buying an ambulance for troops in France, that they earned that incredible title. Now, that's not just history. That is some serious community pride. Okay, so this brings us back to the big question, why? Why does a plumber care about any of this stuff? Well, the answer, I think, lies in seeing that communities have their own kind of plumbing, right? A community's hidden pipes, its own hidden infrastructure. And here's where it all kind of clicks into place. Think about it. There are two kinds of infrastructure. A house has its plumbing, and a community has its own kind of plumbing too. The pipes and drains in your home, well, that's like the founding families and settlers of a town. The water heater? That's the railroads and depots, bringing in the energy. And the sump pump? That's the shared history and identity, that deep well that keeps the whole place from just getting washed away by time. And that is the real takeaway. A business doesn't just work in a location, it's part of the location's ongoing story. This plumbing company gets something really profound here. They aren't just fixing pipes and random houses on a map. No, they're working inside a living story, a place with really deep roots. And their work on the physical pipes of Lake Bluff is just another chapter in that town's history. It's a beautiful way of saying that to really serve a community, you have to know its story. So here's a thought to leave you with. What hidden stories are written on the websites you see every day? The next time you're scrolling through some local business's site, maybe, take a closer look. You might just find a hidden map, a secret history, a story you never, ever expected to find, just sitting there in plain sight. Makes you wonder, what stories are we all missing?